Well, for those of you who have a gambling addiction, silver's not the investment for you then. I know it's a highly volatile investment, but we're talking about physical coin, because physical coin is not something you're actually gambling with, you're holding it for the long term. And do we think the dollar is going to hold together as a Ponzi scheme? No, it's not. Not in its same form. It may be the currency that we use here in the United States, but it's not going to be the worldwide global reserve currency, and actually there's signs of cracks in the system as it is now. I know Russia and China aren't really using the dollar for direct trade. They haven't been using it for a while. There's different things going on. It's still a powerful premium currency. It always probably will be a powerful premium currency, but it's going to lose a lot of its luster. It may be, what I think is actually going to happen with the U.S. dollar is going to be more like what happened to the British pound. It was the global reserve, world reserve currency, and, it's still used in Great Britain. It's still recognized internationally everywhere, but it doesn't have the same clout as it used to have. That's the problem. The thing is, actually, when you're dealing with, funds or anything like that, that's where the gambling comes into play. And, speaking of gambling, I put a video out yesterday on Crimea and Vladimir Putin. I says, they should have actually made it independent, and what we could have done with it is used it for the oligarchs, the way the oligarchs use the, the Cyprus for their tax haven now. They've been doing that for years, basically. Pretty much the rumor in Europe is, there's all kinds of Russian money in Cyprus. And, if anybody that knows anything actually knows that Vladimir Putin is all part of that racket, but he's like the visible face we see. Well, it looks like he does have a use for the Crimea that's a little bit novel. I didn't realize this till after I put out that video. He's going to make it into a gambling casino area, the Crimea. And they have plans to build a 900-mile-long bridge or some garbage all the way from Russia so they can go in there and gamble. It'll be one of the designated gambling zones of Russia. Now, the problem with gambling is it's an addiction. And, that's the problem with the markets. You see them go up, you see them go down. Conventional, actually, I'm going to tell you this, though. Conventional wisdom would probably say, one of the big lines in the sand on silver was 22, and the other big line in the sand on silver was 18. It's going to take a lot to cross those lines. So, people are making predictions one way or the other. When it goes up, they predict it's going to go up. When they see it go down, they predict it's going to go down. That's the sum. That's some of most people's predictions you see on the internet. I always pretty much judge the markets by if you see a lot of people come out and start cheering silver on, then you're going to see some kind of setback, maybe not a big setback, but some kind of setback coming up because of the mood. That's pretty much the way to tell what's going to happen. But the point is, if you're not going to be selling silver, physical silver, till it's over 50, that's really what it is. And if it's over 50, we're going to have some catastrophic problems in the United States. You're probably going to need it for food. You might need it for energy. I don't know. The prices of oil, silver, platinum, and palladium all seem to kind of move together many times. Commodities tend to move together as a whole many, many times. So you got an inflation protection hedge there. We are in inflation right now too much. And if you look at the official, I know the shadow stats says one thing and stuff like that, but I'm not too keen on the shadow stats either. I'm not too keen on the government stats, and I'm not too keen on shadow stats either way. I think we're more inflation than what the government says, but I don't think it's anywhere near as high as what shadow stats says. That's one of the things they put out there that say, we got like 22% inflation in reality. I don't see that, The prices actually have been staying fairly steady, and but the problem is they're running out of places to hide the money. And see, this is the actual age-old problem with inflation. Now, Greenspan has warned us about Alan Greenspan, the former federal chairman. He's actually warned us about that of inflation serious hyperinflation actually rearing its head. It's pretty possible. And actually, when people make those kind of statements of his caliber, it's probably legit. It's probably legit. You know, it's like when they make this statement, you think something's going to happen in a week or two, but it's probably legit. You know, this is where I see the policy. See, actually, when they're talking about tapering, that doesn't mean they're stopping QE. That means they're backing off the rate of quantitative easing, right? I mean, really. It's not like they're not adding to the debt, or, you know, and that's another thing. You know, they're adding more and more to the U.S. debt, which is a totally separate subject. So how much longer can this game go on, you know? And also, I have to state this. I am, like, kind of surprised as to who the heck is actually buying the debt. If China's not buying the debt anymore, Russia hasn't been buying the debt. China was one of our biggest debt buyers. Europe may be buying the debt, but then, you know, if they're soaking up the debt, how is that going to help them? Right? How's that going to help them? You know, because actually what it comes down to, for a healthy economy and a healthy government, it's actual real production of goods and services. And what happens is we got too many people on a grain dole, and what happens there is that's really the debt is going up and up and up to support more and more government of people that aren't super productive. You know, that's really what it comes down to. So if the Ponzi scheme for the U.S. dollar and the U.S. debt does get deflated, I don't think it's going to go away, but say it gets deflated greatly, your hard physical silver is going to be the thing that's going to save you more than anything. Actually, more than anything. Even more than palladium, because I think even though palladium is going to do better dollar-wise, it's not as recognized as silver. That's the thing. Everybody knows what silver is. You know, anybody does that. You know, I mean, even if you are somebody who's not into the coins or anything, you know what it is. People understand it. It's pretty much commonplace, and that's one reason it's probably going to do much. It's a smarter buy than other things, even though other things may be doing better dollar-wise. I think your liquidity with silver is going to be a lot better. And that, I'm talking about, you want to worry about liquidity when the price is actually way up to record heights. At that time, you might want to exchange some for dollars and trade it out for other things you need, or whatever you're going to do. I don't know. You know, it's an individual's decision. But the gambling casino, like I said, is rigged. And that's something you don't want to get into. Actually, if you look at, you know, even people like brokers, and they talk about silver and gold and stuff, people that write books about the economy, you know, that are brokers and other brokers and stuff like that, they're basically, their game is to sell you on something, because the more money they have under their management, the more money they make. So, for instance, they got $20 million under their management, they make $100,000, you know. They're not going to make, you know, I mean, that's really where there's more money. You know, if you got your Series 6, your Series 7, and you're out there getting more and more, you're talking to more and more clients, you know, actually, that would be the lucrative thing for anybody to do, actually on YouTube or whatever, actually to get more and more clients, because you get fees. You get fees on that. You know, my thing is to say is this, and I don't work for a broker, I'm not a broker, I am not anything associated with bullion dealers or at all, and I'm not going to move the market, I know that. But what I'm just stating, 101, is that by you buying physical silver, you're basically not rewarding those type of people. You're not rewarding the people that are basically part of the casino. Brokers are part of the casino too. All of them are. All of them are. And if you are actually not buying physical silver, no matter what you do, you're making a decision. If you decide, I'm going to go into fiat, you know, just hold dollars or whatever the hell it is, well, in that case, guess what happens? I mean, you're making a financial decision no matter what you do. And, you know, my advice has always been, don't put all your money into silver. You know, don't put all your money into any one area. And that's exactly how the game should be played. You know, because in a way, it is somewhat of a game, because it looks like, well, the game you're playing and what I'm playing, actually, and I think people, my listeners, are playing, is we're not playing the casino game, we're playing our own game. And the game is to actually stick with real hard assets and avoid, you know, the fake that can go away in not just like dust in the wind, but electrons in the wind. You know, I have to actually state that I think Ann Barnhardt, who may be Now, she was the one that had her own firm. I think she had Barnhardt Capital or something like that. Now, she got out of it because she thinks she can't protect people. That's an honest opinion. That's an honest opinion. She thinks she can't protect people's funds, so she got out of it, closed shop. Now, I don't know. I don't think things are going to fall apart as much as she thinks. But I think that not everything out there is safe. And say, for instance, if it did fall apart, all these brokers that are telling you to hedge your bet and all this kind of garbage like that, they'd be doing a song and dance. And guess what? Guess what? Too bad. Too bad. They wouldn't care. They say, sorry. You know, but, you know, I don't think that's going to happen because even the ones at MF Global, they got all their money back. You know, that's not advertised by the you know, alternative media, but you know, all the people that lost their money supposedly in MF Global, they all got their money back. Now, if there's a more of a widespread problem, but you know, that problem came about because of John Corzine specifically, who got away with it. Basically, we all know that. But you know, the thing is, what we're picking up on, and I'm just saying me, and you know, I don't like just blatantly just, you know, read something off the internet and go for the drama and stuff, because you know, all these different banker suicides and stuff like that and falling from the buildings and stuff. And you know, there was this other one too. It was an officer and his a bank official, I forgot who it was, BNP Paribas, just recently him and his wife and his nephew were shot outside their home. I don't know what the hell's going on. There's too many different incidences where these bankers in all these different establishments, you know, it's in JP Morgan, it's in London, it's in Hong Kong, it's in, you know, the guy that was in Connecticut, he died in his house, 33-something years old. There's something fishy going on. Everybody's, you know, it's not really like a conspiracy rumor. There's something going on that makes you think there's some serious cracks in the system. Now, I can tell you this, most people, this is pretty common sense. I mean, I don't have to go take a survey or nothing, but most people in the banking and financial industry, you know, I know they are hard-working people. They're workaholics and stuff, you know, people in accounting, finance and stuff. But the thing is, they're basically, their hope is, you know, they probably have it in the back of their mind something can go wrong. You know, and I'm thinking something is going wrong. That's why we're seeing all these suicide deaths, actually like murders or something. And how does somebody fall out of a window? You know, just a lot of those instances. But they're actually just hoping they're healthy, wealthy, and retired, and out of the system per se. And you know, if the whole thing collapses. Now, I don't bet on a collapse. I'm not betting on that, but there could be something where there's a pretty bunch of a downturn. You know, if our markets went down 23% like the Russian equities did this year, I know, and the ruble was sliding like this, you know, I mean, the dollar was sliding against the ruble, the way the ruble is sliding against the dollar, and it's been doing that for over 12 months. The alternative media would be screaming to the hilt, like, you know, Max Kaiser, Gerald Salente, Mike Rivero, you know, they'd be screaming to the hilt. Because basically they're just a voice. I mean, what I think these guys are doing, I think they're just looking for, you know, if Russia turns out to be the top dog someday, they're going to go work for them. You know? I mean, I already got my, you know, I definitely wouldn't be in that group because I already pissed off for the Russian elite plenty if they ever listen to any of my videos, you know? Because I tell you the truth, and I'm a patriot for my country, USA, you know? That's the way it goes. I don't think, and actually, I tell you the truth though, like, the dollar itself, if they want, I think, well, let me put it this way, it's obvious that it's planned that they're going to go into world reserve currency. That's obvious. There's also a plan by the New World Order globalist to weaken the United States, to weaken the biggest, strongest Western industrialized nations and build up other nations and equalize everything, because that fits the world government agenda, you know. But they can't really weaken something that is like physical that you need, and you know, silver is one of those things like that. You know, it's a precious metal. It's been recognized as a money, you know, even though maybe it's not money per se as defined in a dictionary, you know, as gold would be. but it's been a tradable type money for throughout the ages. You know, it's going back to old school, and that's the problem. And the thing is, when you're buying coin, you're not gambling. You're not gambling. You know, you're not trying to say, I'm buying a coin, I'm going to flip it next week and stuff like that. You're not doing that type of stuff. You're basically saving it for when this Ponzi scheme of the U.S. dollar starts to really unravel. And it will. It will. It will. And when it starts to unravel, I think that's the scenario where Ann Barnhardt maybe, you know, maybe she won't be 100% correct, but she may be largely correct. Because if you see a lot of problems go on, you know, there may be a lot more problems. There might be many MF Globals at once. And in that case, are you going to get your money back? Well, maybe you may get your money back after it's inflated away, as Alan Greenspan has been warning about, correct? You know, that I think is plausible. That I think is implausible. You may get your money back after it's inflated away. Right now, all the warnings of inflation, you know, they haven't happened. But, you know, it's the age-old thing. Inflation takes people by surprise. It's like they keep creating more and more dollars, and I know the dollars can be bought back and destroyed and all this kind of garbage. But there is more and more dollars out there. I don't understand exactly how they're going to keep up the debt. That's what I don't see about this deal without interest rates going way up. And that seems to be like not just something that's a calculus problem. It looks like an arithmetic problem. You know, it's like 101. It's real simple. So, in other words, the dollar Ponzi scheme has been kept alive by China buying our debt and us buying their cheap goods. Well, that scenario is gone. Now, it looks like there's European countries that are buying our debt, that are taking up the slack. In other words, it's not going to, you know, and the Federal Reserve was buying up our debt itself through QE, but they're tapering that off. So if the Federal Reserve's not buying it, China's not buying it, Japan's not adding more, Russia's certainly not buying more. How much can Europe buy? I don't know. We're going into record debt territory. So that's where I'm seeing it's like a simple arithmetic calculation where this deal can't be going. So, you know, everything you do actually is a gamble, no matter what decision you make, whether it's to hold fiat dollars or not. But, you know, actually, I'm going to tell you, people that are naysaying silver right now, I'm going to state that and they're going to be way wrong. They're going to be way wrong. Because what's going to happen is they're basically betting on the U.S. dollar. But also to even bet that silver's going to break through the 18, maybe not, maybe not. Because even back when silver was $30-something and it looked like it was going to maybe to 26 sometimes, and nobody even thought it was going to, I thought it was going to go a little bit below 26, not too much below it. But, you know, the lines in the sand were 22, and a big line in the sand was 18. You know, it's going to be pretty tough for it to go below 18. It's almost like with oil. You know, oil, is it going to go below 75? I mean, there's people out there like Harry Dent that predict oil to be $10 a barrel. And I'm like, you know, maybe. Anything's possible, right? I mean, it's probably true that oil is more plentiful on this earth, and the fossil fuel theories are freaking total garbage. I mean, Russia digs oil down like 5 miles down into the ground, which pretty much proves that, you know, the fossil fuel theory is probably a bunch of BS. There's probably a lot of oil in the center of the earth. But considering that that's a racket that's owned by not too many people, they're not going to set the price at $10 a barrel and make it so cheap that they're going to lose money. They're going to keep the prices up quite high. Quite high. Now, like I said, the thing is with the dollar, it could disappear in a heartbeat very quickly because of most of the money exists electronically. In other words, the value of the dollar can actually be greatly diminished. And Alan Greenspan has warned of this. Paul Volcker has talked about And the date they gave where the beginning of the end was going to start was March 4th. But that was an estimate. He says if things aren't addressed in a year and a half from the time he's talking about, that would have been March 4th, that's when the breakdown is going to start occurring. And, it's an estimate. But they're not the typical, alternative conspiracy people. These are responsible people. They may not be, well, obviously he's not correct in his March 4th estimate, but it may just be a couple months off. How much longer could the stock market keep going up or stay holding steady? Even all the major media is talking about the price of stocks are way high, and profitability in the corporations is way up there. How much longer is that going to happen? If the stock market corrects 30-40%, what do you think the policy of the Fed's going to be then? It's not going to be taper. And remember, taper doesn't mean they're not doing QE. That just means they're backing off the rate of how much they're buying the bonds. They're probably going to go like full steam. And where's that money going to go? It may actually go into the price of the metals. So, in other words, if the stocks look bad, where would people put the money, the stimulus money? Where would they put the money? Probably in the metals. Probably in the commodities. So that's where we can see an unexpected run-up. Because when you do see the run-up, it happens in 6 or 7 months. And so, like I said, it's not so much, you're not gambling, you're basically providing yourself security. And by having physical metals, that is your best security. I have to agree pretty much with what Ann Barnhardt says. I think she's a little bit too extreme, but basically I think she's correct. If the system did fall apart and there was a lot of problems, there was a lot of MF Globals, all these brokers would just disappear and say, oh, I don't know what happened. They'd shut off their phones, they close up their business, and they pack their bags and leave, and the hell with you. If you got your silver, you're cool. That's just how I look at it. So, you don't want to be gambling. You want to be holding physical metals. And like I said, just hold on, because like I said, when you're going to be selling is going to be when metals go to record heights, and even then I would not sell all. I would sell a small amount of your holdings, and do it in pieces cautiously, because it's going to be very difficult to guess the exact top. I think the actual overall top of silver is going to have to be at least $130 an ounce. It may take a few years, but that's what it's going to be.